So this is the Combat Station. I'm your host, Ty Matthews-Collett, and today we have an interview with Ben Petches-Kelly. He's got a upcoming fight against Federico Perry. So what dangers does Federico bring you?
To be honest, I don't think he brings too much threat, to be honest. He's just wild. He's wild on the feet. But I think I'm better on the feet than him. I think I'm better on the floor, and I'm better than I'm wrestling as well. So don't even really threat. He's got that one big shot if it lands, but I can't see it landing.
What have you learned from your amateur career about MMA, and what do you think will help? What do you think you can bring in from it into normal MMA?
From my amateur career, mate, I've learned pretty much everything there is to learn. You know, I've took wins everywhere you can, I've took losses everywhere you can, and that's what amateur career is for, not to just fight bums and get like easy wins. It's to test yourself, get them losses out the way, and I feel like the lessons I've learned as an amateur, especially in the losses, just make me stronger and have made me the fighter I am today. And especially over the last year, obviously with the lockdowns and that, we haven't been able to train, but the level from my last fight to this fight now is ridiculous. And if you spoke to any of the lads in the gym, that they'll tell you the exact same.
What career goals do you have? Like, what do you see yourself doing in your career, and anything you want to do?
I see myself going to the top of my career, to be honest, lad. If I think when I'm 50 and I look back, if I'm not at the top, I'll be disappointed. You know, I've got everything in place. I've got a plan in place. I've got everything in place to follow to get me to that position. You know, you just have to look at the likes of Molly, Paddy. They're all doing it. Nathan's doing it as well. He's on the path. Every person in the gym's on this path. It's set up for you to succeed. So as long as you follow the path and stay switched on and don't get distracted and get tempted with all these outside things, there's no reason why I shouldn't be at the top and living the good life when I'm retired.
This weekend, your teammate Paddy Pimblett and Molly McCann, they're fighting. Do you see these fights as good matchups for them?
Yeah, very good matchups. Obviously, Molly's fighting. I think she's fighting a Korean girl, long, tall girl.
Kim.
Yeah, that's it. Again, long girl. Molly's short, but every girl that Molly fights is taller than her and longer than her. So Molly's gonna be in an element there. It's not new to her. She's onto that all before. And Paddy's opponent, from what I've heard, again, falls right into his game. The kid's obviously going to try and knock him out, but again, who doesn't try and knock you out in a fight? And I feel like they're both in peak condition now. Paddy's looking in good shape, Molly's looking in good shape. They're both looking good in rounds, and they both got a fire under their arse to get in the gym, get to training, and get the wins that they deserve.
So when you get a few wins, what sort of route do you want to take? Do you want to win the Cage Warriors? You want to go Cage Warriors, win the belt there, then go UFC? Is that sort of
yeah? So that's the sort of route that it's set out for us. So maybe get 1-2-0 outside of Cage Warriors. You never know, might get spun, and it's a chance to take a late notice one whenever. But get 1 or 2 fights. Hopefully get onto Cage Warriors. Go the Cage Warriors route to obviously onto the UFC, but if you're in the UK or in Europe and you're not looking at the Cage Warriors route, you're doing it wrong. Because if you just look at it, everyone who's in the UFC from Europe, and 99% of them have went through Cage Warriors. Conor McGregor, prime example, biggest star in MMA, went through Cage Warriors. Paddy, Molly, Fishy all went through Cage Warriors. Jack Shaw, Cage Warriors. And now you're even starting to see them pop up on the Contender Series. Like last night, there was an Italian who was on Cage Warriors who fought Alan Khalid. He's on there. Cage Warriors is such a big platform in Europe that if you go on these smaller shows and you're happy being on these smaller shows, you're stupid, to be honest, because I can only name about 2 or 3 people who've not been on Cage Warriors in England who've been signed to the UFC.
Going forward, what are dream fights you want in your career? Any fights that would interest you or you would want to have?
No, like I haven't got particular names or anything like that, but fights that are good for the fans. I'm all about giving a good fight. I don't want to be in a boring fight. You know, I feel like even in my amateur career, every fight I was in was a good fight, entertaining. I was either getting finished or getting beat, or I was finishing and beating the other kids. So entertaining fights that kids actually come back. I hate when people turn pro and they fight 3-4 bums and you touch them like this. Federico Petty's win. There's only one win. It's against a bum. And you can tell just by the way he's hit him, he just curled over, didn't want to be in there. So I'd rather not fight kids like that, you know what I mean? I've got a bit of self-respect for myself. I could have took a bum a few weeks ago when my opponent pulled out on the day. But again, I've got respect for myself, and I'm proving a point of these bums are not the fights that you should be taking. You should be taking the right fights, yeah, but challenging ones as well. I don't want to just fight someone who's going to fall over. I want someone to take who's going to come at a good level, challenge me, learn my lesson, move on to the next one and build up and up and up from there, not just fight crabs and expect myself to get to the top. Because when you get to the top, you're going to be scared and you're not going to know what's hit you.
This weekend, as well as your teammates fighting, Darren Till is also fighting Derek Brunson. Do you have a prediction for that fight?
To be honest, it's probably the only fight. Well, obviously not the only fight, but it's where the Molly and Paddy are on the card. They haven't really paid too much attention to it, but from the styles that Brunson's fought before, I think he will probably struggle a bit with Till. It just depends on what Derek Brunson turns up. You look at Derek Brunson, sometimes he turns up a straight killer, and sometimes he turns up and he's a bit hesitant and a bit scared of what his opponents are going to do. So if Derek Brunson turns up and he comes wanting to win and comes in with that killer mindset, he'll give Till a hard time with his wrestling. But again, if you look at like when he fought Izzy and other strikers, he seems to be a bit hesitant too much with some of these big strikers, and obviously Till's not a small lad himself, so if he can get a striking off nice and early, then Brunson might be in for a bad night.
So we're going to wrap up in a minute, but I was just going to ask you, what is your prediction for how your fight will go against Perry?
I can see myself finish him at the end of the second. I feel like we get in there, he's going to try and just strike me. I don't think he'll be able to take me down, and if he does, I'll work back up and I'll put the damage on him. I'm in the shape of my life. I've been ready for weeks. Obviously, I was meant to fight a few weeks ago, but it fell through on the day, and I've just been ticking over ever since. And I really think people are in for a big shock when they either fight me or they see our fight, and you look at the difference from my last fight, and they're going to be in for a big shock. And I can see myself finishing this Perry at the end of the second.
Well, mate, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you for your time. And hopefully after your fight, we can get you back on.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Nice one.
Anyway, bye, mate.
Cheers, mate. Nice one.